All right, hello and welcome. Sorry for the ever so slight delay there. I obviously wasn't prepared, but it wasn't Twitch's fault this time, Josh Street. It was just my fault this time. But hello to everyone in the chat. How are you guys doing? It is a wonderful Tuesday, February the 23rd, 2021. I'm your host, Life with Matthew, and joining me today, as always, we will have the wonderful John DiMarco. How are you doing today, John?
I'm fine, thank you.
So today, if I actually got everything ready correctly, which, that's a big if, we are going to be watching SeaQuest Season 1, Episode 23. Now, you may be sitting there going, wait a minute, Matt. Wait a minute. Last week, we watched Episode 21, so why would we be watching 23 this week? And the answer is quite simply, I screwed up the title last week. It was Episode 22 last week. So we're not skipping anything. I just totally screwed up the title between this week and last week. And just to make it even more fun, what would be more fun? I lost my own train of thought. I do that all the time.
Maybe
we have ads.
That Bradley's mentioning that you sound funny.
I sound funny? What kind of funny?
Well, to me, you sound like a little tinny. Like a little tinny.
Let's see. Hello. Let's see. Hello. Oh, yeah. Whoa. What on earth? Hey, for once, guys, I did nothing. I haven't changed a single thing anywhere. I left all my settings the exact same. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is my microphone cable, and yep, there we go. I don't know what it's picking up right now. It's not my microphone, but thank you for letting me know, guys. I always appreciate that.
And you are right, 47 Yorktown. Matthew is doing this on purpose.
On purpose. Wow, that is just in poor taste. Okay, excellent. Now I can actually hear myself, and I don't sound super tinny. And I can fix my volume again because I turned it down because I thought maybe I was coming in too hot. But thanks, guys. I honestly, anytime you're watching a stream and they have something like that happen, speak up. It really helps us out when people let us know that things were going wrong. So we got that fixed. I really do appreciate that. We got the chat going. And yeah, okay. So today, the other fun thing, less fun, is that we got ads. For whatever reason, hopefully we don't have more of it like this, but when I was watching it today, I was like, oh crap. There's a couple ads that we're going to be watching today in this watch party. Because usually we don't have that, but, I think we can make do, everyone. I think it'll be fine. So let me just say hello real quick to everyone in the chat. Karoganite saying, Viva Karoga. Viva Karoga indeed, Karoganite. John DiMarco is here. Viva Darwin. I don't know why I let this guy on my streams.
I don't either. It's weird.
Followed by non-stop dolphins. Just lovely. Lovely. 47 Yorktown. Darwin / John DiMarco's beard 2024. We've had worse combinations. I mean, I'm down with John DiMarco, but Darwin, I don't know. You could have a worse running mate.
It's not me, just the beard.
Just the beard. My apologies. Just the beard. I don't know. What's your beard's policies on foreign politics?
I'll have to check with it and get back to you.
You'll have to circle back around to that one.
Exactly.
Oh gosh. Professor Bernie Specs, how are you doing? Thomas Potts will be chief of staff. Plus Lucas will be national security advisor. He would be. Except, you know what? Let's see. So 2018, he was like 16. So he's only 19 to 20. That's a pretty young national security advisor, even if he is incredibly intelligent. Let's see. Scrolling through here. Josh Street. Matthew is late. Not only was I late, Josh Street, but I had horrible audio. So I don't know. I'm going all out for this one. Why not? And honestly, this is something that's kind of confused me right now. With this microphone not plugged in, I really don't know what audio source it was picking up. I have no audio source that should actually pick me up anywhere near that loudly. Like in my audio properties, it's set up just to use the headphone jack or the microphone jack, and if it's not plugged in there, you guys got me. I got nothing for where that's coming from. What's my mic on? Yeah, my mic. Technically, this mic doesn't have its own power supply, so I guess no, it wasn't on. Nor was it plugged in. And I actually caught up. Look at me. I'm not gonna be a bird of prey for once. I'm actually going to keep up with the stream. And yes, Bradley, I do have a built-in mic on my laptop right next to my webcam. That disgusting thing. I hate built-in webcams. But the way I have OBS set up, I never should, like, it literally shouldn't be able to fail over to that. It should only be able to use this microphone jack or nothing. Like, I very specifically have picked it out. So, I don't know. I guess it's a good thing, because otherwise I would have been up here, slapping my gums around and no one would be able to hear anything. So, it's good. Good-ish. I mean, anyways, let me just go ahead and get this going here. And I guess if you're new here and you have no idea what on earth is going on, which is possible, I certainly do appreciate anyone who is new here. The way this works is I'm going.
They say if you don't know what's going on, you're just like the rest of us.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. So the way this is going to work is I am going to momentarily drop a link to the stream, which I believe I just did. Maybe it will show up here, maybe it won't. Life is a mystery with YouTube sometimes. I'm not seeing it, so I'm going to try this again. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I am going to pin this link, and this takes you to the watch party room. This syncs up all of our watch time so that we get to watch this, and John and I give some live commentary for the episode as it goes. If you tune in at some point in the future and I no longer have this watch room set up, fear not, you can go to peacocktv.com peacocktv.com and sign up for a free account there. And there you'll be able to watch all 3 seasons of SeaQuest DSV at your own rate, or at the very least, this one episode as we talk about today. And I will certainly try to give a countdown so that we can have all of our timers synced up and, approximately in the same spot. For anyone who either doesn't want to do that, or, they're on a phone or something so that they can't have 2 things open at once, what we will also do is we will provide some clips from the episode. I grab them once every 5-ish or so seconds, and that way you can at least get a picture reference for what's going on. So those clips will be available just as a little reference point. And with that, we will go ahead and get things started. Even though it looks like
springtime is concerned for your safety, by the way.
Is he now? That is so kind of him. Which safety? Let's see. Professor Brain Specs, I'm up to 292 articles of impeachment. We will have fun going through those here shortly, guys. So I guess if you happen around, you know that at some point in the past 2 weeks, I was supposed to not be doing a SeaQuest stream because I was supposed to be out on a job site. Well, the snowstorm screwed everything up, so I have no idea what my schedule is right now. At some point, I am supposed to be out on a job site and then out on a frac pad with a brand new system, testing it out. So I will keep you guys updated whenever I'm actually heading out there. I'll be certain to either send out a tweet, and I will definitely be talking about it in my Discord server. And if you're not part of my Discord server, I do have a link to it down in the description area of the stream so that you guys can be kept up to date on things like that. And get out of the way now. What's going on? Something.
Oh, and by the way, hello, government spies.
Yes, hello to the Governance Plus. Yeah, I stopped a second there. Springtime saying, "Are you safe? Rumor has it that your wife/guard is going to find you and return you to a prison cell." No. That is a totally unfounded rumor. She's only my wife, not my guard, and I have no prison cells. And those government spies love to have audio and say hello. Yeah, I hate it. Like I constantly I mute everything. Like I disable my built-in webcam, and then I try to make sure every other audio source is disabled off of, everything. But for all the good that does, I'm running Windows, so I have no doubt Windows helps out Uncle Sam here and there. Linux is probably more secure, but unfortunately, I gotta be on Windows for work. And this is my work laptop. It just gets to do double duty. But don't worry, the boss is cool with me doing it. I cleared it with her first. Professor's Brainy Specs is saying 5-ish or so seconds is Matthew's version of 3 seconds. No, Professor Brainy Specs. It is usually my seconds translate into minutes. So if I'm going to say I'm wrapping a stream up, it's usually like an hour per minute, I estimate, I think, is how it goes down. Except when Thomas Potts is on the stream, and then I am punctual. I will get this shut down quick, as everyone saw the other week. So, I think we've given everyone enough time to come and join us, who's going to join us in the screening room. By all means, if you can, come join us in the screening room so that you can see this all in real time. Because this is a great episode today, I think. Tipping my hand a little bit for the end of the episode review, but I think this was a fantastic episode, and you're going to want to see it live if you can. So with that, I will do the 5 countdown, everyone. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit that play button, and we'll get going.
Some good news. Enjoy the show with only one ad. Brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
All right. How
What's
about
in
some
your
good
wallet?
I'm not gonna tell you. If that always seems so presumptuous. Like, really, I'm gonna tell you the credit cards I have? I don't think so.
Way over specs. I can hear their main drive bearings disintegrate. It's powerful.
So we start this episode in the middle of things. They're tracking down some submarine, and
The professor is saying audio, by the way.
can you hear it?
Apparently he can hear it, yes.
Why would you be able to hear it? Why does it do that to me? Oh, well, thanks for letting me know. That should fix it. For the record, I did not... Oh, well, I'll get this all worked out this week. But what's going on is you have a ship that they've been tracking down, and we don't know what's going on with this sub, but for some reason they are tracking it down. It's running hot. Engines are out of spec, and they give a quick torpedo shot, disable just the propulsion, which is really an impressive shot, to be honest. And then they are now sending over the boarding crew. And thank you, Professor Brainy Specs, for letting me know. And that did fix it. And hopefully the sound of alarms going beep 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 can't be auto content matched to anyone. So they did that. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but they zoomed in on this random black officer on the bridge. He has nothing to do with the episode whatsoever. Like, I thought for sure he was going to be somehow important, the way that he came into frame and everyone just stared at him. But nope, he has nothing to do with anything. Howdy, Vile Mike. How you doing today? So they think that they're tracking down some ore smugglers at this point. And they blast open the hatch, and you hear children crying. And the ship is sinking, and they're saying, "Hey, we're UEO. We're here to help." And you hear someone yell, "Prove it!" And you see Dr. Westphalen looks kind of surprised, like that voice. Do I recognize that? And they come down and they discover that these are not ore smugglers. These are a bunch of kids in a submarine. And who should it be but Cynthia, Dr. Westphalen's baby girl.
Cue the theme song.
And Vile Mike is saying, yeah, not like klaxon sounds are copyrighted, right? Man, who knows, Vile? You never know what random things will be copyrighted. Now, you say that. I know that on your openings, so if anyone hasn't seen Vile Mike stuff, he does some really great stuff reviewing the original TOS episodes with his daughter, the Vile Child. And the last week also, he had a guest star of Commodore Ty, as well as the Vile Child, one of the Vile Child's children. And in his openings, he did a red alert klaxon type noise. Now, Vile, are you saying that comment that klaxon sounds are not copyrighted because you did get a copyright match, or just a tongue-in-cheek way of pointing out that, man, everything apparently is copyrighted on YouTube? Like, honestly, I'm concerned that somehow I have something going on and I would never know about it. And here's another one of the ads. Sorry about that. But like, I'm always worried that someone's going to get copyright struck because YouTube is auto matching things to anything I put up, which I haven't configured anything like that. But I still worry that YouTube's shenanigans are going to do something like that. Like, I could see that just being the default setting somewhere. And Vile's saying he has no idea. I bet, but it's a bit too short for the bus ID right now. Okay. So as Sam Raimi was coming down, all of a sudden the wire starts sparking, and he said, well, it's not safe to come down, so everyone needs to get off the ship, but no one's moving. They're telling the kids to move it. You know, Raimi is trying to, or O'Neill technically. O'Neill is trying to tell everyone to get moving, but no one does anything. And finally, the Dr. Westphalen's daughter gets them on the move on. And we're trying to figure out what is she doing here? We're told that we're supposed to be stopping smugglers, and it turns out that no, we are actually stopping orphans. That these children are refugees and they're trying to get away. And whoops, we fired upon and disabled and are now sinking a submarine full of orphans. And not just any orphans, but injured orphans. So Bridgers, he's trying to find some sort of med unit. Meanwhile, Admiral Noyce, aka Admiral Paris, is trying to get a hold of Bridger. And the mini sub that they use is just completely full. So they're having to swap things out real quick and bring in another mini sub so they can get the rest of the kids after Dr. Westphalen's gives some emergency medical treatment.
I think you're right, Vile.
Crocker's trying to find any kid who speaks English.
But yes, I think Vile's right. Those are clearly smuggling orphans from the mines.
Fake news. Fake news. And Bridger is understandably upset. He was sent to stop ore smugglers, not to fire upon orphans and commit genocide. And Admiral Noyce, who's now the Secretary Admiral Noyce of the UEO, or Secretary General of the UEO, is, he's trying to be diplomatic. He's saying, well, maybe we tracked the wrong sub. Maybe they had a different sub out here that we were supposed to stop. And Bridgers, he's not having a second of it. He's saying, no, there's not another sub in another 100 miles of here. We got played. And Secretary General Noyce is saying, look, I know what's going on, but you have to talk to the general, because it's basically a Cuba type situation. So go talk to the dictator general of this area. and just give him the benefit of the doubt. He's the military leader of the Confederation, which they don't really talk about necessarily where it is, but they do mention at one point that everyone is speaking Portuguese there, so maybe we're near Portugal.
Well, I think it's supposed to be Brazil. Because it seems
Brazil?
obviously somewhere in Latin America, and they speak Portuguese in Brazil.
Okay. And there you hear him say these Amazonians. So you must be right, in South America. Meanwhile, Chief Crocker, okay, it's not his gun this time, but I'm saying he needs to do some better discipline with all his things on his belt, because it seems like he's always getting his gun stolen and now his comm stolen. But thankfully Lewis is here to get things in order, and he's getting all the kids to go to the mess because they're starving. And Bradley Briggs wants to know, where did a bunch of orphans get a submarine? So it was Dr. Westphalen's daughter who has managed to procure the submarine and is trying to get these kids away. Now the general is obviously up to something, and Bridger knows it, because as soon as he talks to him, the general starts saying that he's sending some cutters to take care of the ship. They're going to dismantle it. And Bridger says, well, it's my duty to go aboard the ship and make sure everyone's okay, render assistance. And the general's saying, nope, do not go on my ship. Those emeralds are my country's currency. It would be like letting me go into Fort Knox. And Bridger says, we both know there's no emeralds, as depth charges are falling everywhere. We know there's no orphans. No emeralds, there's only orphans. And the general loses it. How dare you go aboard that ship? I didn't give you permission. He says, they're just orphans. He goes, they're not orphans, they're witnesses. And so he cuts him off. He's like, I'm not listening to this guy. This guy's a complete idiot. So the depth charges are kicking up a huge cloud of mud, and sonar can't get through it. So we still have one of the mini-subs connected to the ship trying to get the orphans off of it. And they're trying to figure out how they can get a positive lock on their ship and take care of the orphans at the same time. And Bridger goes, wait a minute, the mud cloud, that's the answer. So we're going to go below the silt of the mud cloud, and it's going to mask our presence, which is an interesting idea. But remember, the SeaQuest is a massive ship. I don't think it would be covered by the mud cloud. Like this week, it's like the size of a normal sub.
That must be an awful lot of mud.
Yeah. So down she goes. And Vile Mike is saying the emeralds are in the orphans. That would have been the twist.
So the last mini-ship's trying to get back to SeaQuest, so your depth charges going off everywhere.
And Cynthia is trying to get everyone buckled in while all these depth charges are going off. That's Dr. Westphalen's daughter. Dr. Westphalen is telling her to get in and strap herself down. She doesn't listen, and a depth charge goes off and slams Cynthia against the bulkhead. Springtime is saying, according to Fox News, the captain of the SeaQuest tried to sell the orphans back to the general. I think you got your sources wrong. I think that may have been CNN. Fox News would tend to not cover anything the SeaQuest does. It's generally too much of a puff piece for them to pay attention to. And Vile's saying that SeaQuest is massive, but it's also coated in organic stuff. So stealth sub? Huh? Maybe. So the SeaQuest is like on the ocean floor or just above the ocean floor at this point, trying to stay in that silt cloud. And the launch, the other mini-sub that they're using, is trying to find where the mini-sub went down. Because they saw it getting buffeted around, or they think it was getting buffeted around by the depth charges. So they're trying to use the launch. They're trying to use the hyper... Oh, what did they call this thing, John? The hyper
reality probe.
The hyper reality probe. Now, do you recognize this actor?
No, I don't.
This is Luis. I forget his last name, but he's been in a couple different things. I think a couple comedies.
Oh yeah, it says on IMDb, it says Luis Guzman.
That's the guy, Luis Guzman. So the general, Luis, is just...
That is places. Did he just fall down? I think LDG fell out of his chair. Give us a thumbs up, LD. Let us know you're okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
I love that one. That's my favorite super chat. Thank you, by the way, to CNN. The president is responsible. Wait, Biden is a Democrat. Never mind. We'll just randomly pick a Republican to blame. I think they would still pick Trump. It's obvious everything is Trump's fault. If ever you're confused about something, the answer is it's still Trump's fault.
Well, the general's bawling like a goat, so he's clearly crazy.
Clearly. So, what he's really concerned about is that the orphans are going to let the world see them as villains, and which is weird because he is a villain, but he's concerned that people are going to know that he's villainous. And the other guy, Miguel, he's trying to tell the general just to calm down. It's not a big deal. Frankly, we should be thanking them for taking the orphans because we have too many of them as it is. And at that point, that's when the general starts to bot him. He goes, can you go bah, Miguel? And Miguel's like, what? He's like, because that's what you're going to be, a scapegoat. Because that's what, people are going to be looking for to blame us on this. So we discover that they made it off of the mini-sub. And it seems like the only people on the mini-sub at this point were like two-ish or so kids. And then Ford, the security chief we met a couple weeks ago, what was his name? Or security officer, Shran, I think it is?
Yeah, Shan or something like that.
Shan. Dr. Westphalen and her daughter, Cynthia. So just a handful of people. And they washed up aboard on the land, the Confederation that the general is in. So even though the people are looking for the orphans, the fact that they're going to find the UEO members is not a great thing. So they, against medical advice, they pick up Cynthia and try and get away and hide somewhere. And now we find out Cynthia's motivation. She was down here vacationing, I believe, and she left the vacation resort area, came down in the slums, found this guy, and saw the government actually murdering their own people. And Cynthia couldn't stand by and watch innocent kids be murdered. And one of the people being murdered was this guy's brother. Malik is his name. And Darwin notices, of course Darwin notices, because even though Malik's face is away from him, Darwin is telepathic. Never forget.
Exactly.
Darwin is both precognisant and telepathic. And so he recognizes...
Yeah, plus a swim with Darwin can cure anything that's bothering you.
It's true. We learned that with William Shatner. Darwin heals. So, what was his name? Malik?
Malik,
Malik.
I believe.
Yes, Malik decides to swim with Darwin because Darwin says, "Oh, Malik's sad. Swim, Darwin." And so, sure enough, they do. Because why not? Professor Brainy Specs is saying Orange Man bad. That is what I have heard from official news sources. And who am I to question official news sources? So these two guys carrying the bucket are two of the SeaQuest members. I don't believe we've gotten their names. But they're also doing the time-honored tradition of stealing clothes from the clothing lines because they want to hide the fact that they're UEO officers. So everyone needs to have kind of some plain clothes going on. And Cynthia, she knows something up. She's saying, "What's wrong?" And Dr. Westphalen says, "You're an optimist." And she goes, "Well, is me being an optimist why I'm cold?" And, Westphalen, she's lying to her daughter. Everyone knows. The daughter knows it. She knows it. But she claims that you just have a fever. Take some medicine. And Cynthia says, "You know what? The boys over there are the children. So they're not UEO officers, excuse me. They were children aboard the sub." So she says, "They're the children. I'm an adult. Tell me what's wrong." And Westphalen begrudgingly comes clean that got a solid hit to the head and probably broke a couple ribs being jostled around aboard the mini sub. And Vile Mike was saying that this just in from OAN, liberal Democrat Captain Bridger caught smuggling orphans for satanic rituals by socialist leaders. I don't think I would trust them as a news source either, perhaps, if that's what they're leading with. But, it is funny how many unreliable news sources there are in the world these days.
Speaking of that, did you catch the super chat, Matthew?
The one about the president is responsible, Wade Biden is a Democrat? Yeah, I read that. Was there another one?
No, I didn't see one, but the professor was asking.
Okay. So Westphalen lets them know that her daughter has an infection, most likely, and things aren't going well for her. So Ford is going to try to get to the American consulate, but he's going to, as a backup plan, just rob a drugstore. And Westphalen says, if, don't joke around. And he says, "I'm not joking. I'll literally go rob a drugstore because that's what we gotta do to get this." "Oh, no worries, Professor. I would much rather be called out when I had read it than not being called out and hadn't read a super chat." Professor Brainy Specs, "This is CNN." So here we get our name of the episode moment. These sisters go walking by, religious sisters, and we find out in the somber moment that they are sisters of the good death. They go from person dying to person dying and perform religious rituals over them. And we find out that there's a reason we don't see any girls around. That everyone who reaches the age of being a teenager, the girls are sold off to be sex slaves, and the boys are basically murdered. And as kids, they're used as traffickers and thieves. So this country is just in a horrible place, and I thought that was kind of an amazing way to go in this episode. And so the general, he wants to know what's going on. Miguel can't find them. And the general says, well, have you tried calling them? So what's going on is he has some rebreathers, and he's saying, you know, my people found these from your assassins on the beach. You know, if you give me back the orphans, I'll let you have your people back. And Bridger thinks about it. And then he responds, you know, the general says, say something! And this was such a ballsy moment from Bridger. He says, you know what? I think you are. And the general's like, I am what? He goes, I think you're afraid to die. And then just hangs up. And at that moment, the general shoves his desk away from the window and is convinced that, you know, the UEO has sent assassins to kill him. It was such a moment from TNG when I think it was it the Romulans, the Klingons? Someone was just hounding Picard. And at the end of the episode, when he knew that he had everything in a row, Worf was like, they're hailing us. And Picard goes walking around the bridge, cleans some dust off of the plaque, and then finally answers it. That was kind of the moment we got from Bridger right there.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was great.
So Crocker and Krieg are really confused. Like, what are you doing? He's going to kill our people. And Bridger goes, he might, but he doesn't have them. I don't think he has them. The fact that he thinks there's assassins has me convinced that he doesn't actually have our people in custody. Otherwise, he would have shown us them on camera. So he called the general's bluff. But he's perfectly okay with the general being scared and thinking that there's assassins there.
Yes, Professor, the episode that Matthew was talking about was with the Shellyak.
The Shellyak, okay. And here we find out that Commodore Strand, Lieutenant Strand, Security Chief Strand, we find out that Strand was actually born here. That his dad escaped Vietnam and came here. Eventually, Strand escaped the island, or escaped the country, and went to, Confederacy. Escaped the Confederacy, and went to a UEO area. And he kind of indicates that maybe things were better back in the day when his dad first came here, but since then, things have gotten much, much worse. Now, unfortunately, Ford does not know how to pick a lock. So instead, he used a high-tech security device to melt the lock away or pick it through electronics. You know, I think he probably could have learned to pick a lock faster than that, because that took a long time to set up and execute. And he tripped the extremely obvious security panel right next to the door, alerting the police that someone has broken into the drugstore that they just went into.
I love the little poster of the general with the devil horns drawn on him on the wall.
And that car wasn't that bad either. A little one-seater police car. I could see someplace like California having some police cars like that. 100% green-friendly, battery-powered, lightweight, completely inefficient if you ever tried to arrest someone. And the police, sure enough, show up, and they tell them to stop. They put their hands up, and Shran, as cool as a cucumber, just says, "My mother was sick." And they ignore it, and try to handcuff Ford. Shran knocks everyone out in a heartbeat.
He did not skip leg day.
He did not. Oh, you know what? I stand corrected. You can see that is a two-seater vehicle. So I guess technically you could throw someone in the back, but there's no protection there. It's just an open thing, so, not the best way of doing it. And while Mike is saying that they do have, I'm assuming electric cars, and not just a car that ridiculous for traffic cops. Mostly the parking meter cops, so the meter maids, okay. And, Shran is taking his time leaving the area because he's like, look, the police don't like the military. We have nothing to worry about. And it turns out he was all the wrongs as the military begins to just pour out of their transport vehicles, which also looked battery driven and green friendly. And Cynthia is just begging her mom to leave with the kids. That she's in no position to move. But she's so much more concerned about the safety and well-being of these kids and wants her to escape along with them. And so, husband's like, look, what are you even going to do with these kids? And the daughter goes, go to Dad's beach house. And she's like, what, Dad knew about this? No, but Dad never says no to me. And he's a public figure, so it would have been a great opportunity to have 50, refugee children showing up unannounced at his beach house. A great moment. And I could see that happening for real, by the way. I could 100% see, 50 refugees showing up at a politician's house. And the politician just being like, okay, fine. I'm not living here. This is my summer home. I'm gonna take the win. This is an easy layup. All I have to do is say yes, let them live at my home, and I look like a saint. But Ford and Shran get back, hands Westphalen the medicine, and says, we need to get out of here. And Ford's like, Shran, what are you doing? And we find that he's talking to the Sisters of the Good Death. But he doesn't know what. Ford looks extremely confused, but Shran has this, real smirky smile, like, I got this.
Meanwhile, Bridger's taking the very important step of getting some advice from Darwin on what to do next.
He's certainly a better source than the hologram doctor, apparently. Or not hologram doctor, the hologram counselor. So Darwin's gonna go help somehow. There is a boat that is going to try rescue mission. And Bridger wants Darwin to stay close to it, keep things afloat. So they go to the war room and they're trying to figure out where they would have landed. And, obviously, I think they've done a good job not giving any sort of 100% accurate map. So we're zoomed in on this area of the Confederacy. I think you're right, John. I think there's enough hints to say that this is probably Brazil. But they've done a really good job in the show of not calling out any one nation, which is something TNG did. They didn't say, look, we're talking about Russia right now. We're talking about China right now. They just said, look, here's a group of people. Maybe they share some traits with real life people. We're not saying it. So you can't get a feel for where they are based on the map. And the idea is that Ortiz there is going to go aboard along with, what's his name?
Malik.
And they're going to do a two-man crew because Ortiz, he doesn't speak the language. Maybe Ortiz was the one who was saying he speaks Portuguese, which is close enough to the language they speak here. So he's saying he can kind of flub it, and at least it looks like he belongs there.
I think what he said was that he's Cuban, so he speaks Spanish, which is close enough to Portuguese.
That's what it was. I'm glad one of us is paying close enough attention here.
Having the script helps too.
And here we get to see Shran's plan unfold. The military is going shanty to shanty trying to figure out what's going on. And we see that as they come into where Cynthia is and the UEO people, that they have set up the Sisters of the Good Death. So it looks like they are here performing last rites over Cynthia. And the guard is kind of suspicious. And we go to commercial breaks. Bradley is saying, I give politicians far too much credit. Most of them are dumber than a sack of bricks. I think almost any politician would still take the easy layup. Assuming they came from a district that was pro-refugee. Because there are some districts out there that are, extremely anti-refugee. Or maybe not anti-refugee, but like they've run on a campaign of anti-illegal immigration. And so they wouldn't want to be like, oh, but I'm okay with these refugees. But even with that, I think even in a district like that, you would have someone just be like, this is an easy layup for PR, and would take it, even if they're being completely hypocritical to do it. So the military was kind of suspicious about this, but thankfully the two kids who actually came from this area got some neighbors to come in and offer candles to complete the charade going on here. So Ford is trying to get Cynthia, Dr. Westphalen, to go back to the point of entry and just pray that they figured out where they landed. And she says no. Cynthia has internal bleeding. Any sort of jostling would be detrimental to her. And she's going to stay. So Shran, on point this episode, just rips a plank of wood off the shanty. He goes, here we go. Here's our stretcher. Now this, I wonder if this device actually exists and how hard it would be to create if it doesn't. But Ortiz, question. This boat has this, what do you call that, John?
Kind of like a autopilot that holds it at a certain distance off a shore.
Yeah. It's like a GPS-based autopilot where he sets it up just to hold position about 100 yards or 100 feet off the shore so that it won't be immediately noticeable. But, I mean, you've seen this. The spotlights land right on them, and they get completely ignored. So I don't think the security people are really doing that tough of a job tonight. So Ortiz drops something in his eyes, and he's asking, how does he look? And and the guy whose name, Mr. M, he's like, your eyes look drunk, and you smell drunk, as he drops this on his body. He's like, well, that's the idea. So he's trying to go undercover here. And apparently I've done something to get up to 293.
Yes, it is what happens when you don't pay attention to your own stream.
But I am paying attention to my stream. I got the chat open, and what did I?
Well, I should say what's going on in the episode in your own stream.
Oh, fair enough. So the Sisters of the Good Death are escorting Cynthia to the landing site, and unfortunately, they are going right past Miguel and the general. As they're trying to make this look like a funeral procession. And Miguel is like, why stop them? It's just a funeral. But you can see Bridger got into the general's mind. The general is just totally freaked out right now. He's not even approaching it. He sends Miguel to go take a closer look. while he backs up and tries to hide between all the guards around him. And Violent Mike is saying, OAN breaking news, Elon Musk steals self-driving boat idea from small patriotic YouTuber. Hey, you know what? No amount of ideas actually is worth a hill of beans if you can't make it happen. So it's great to be the idea guy, but if I can't actually make that self-driving boat, then it doesn't amount to crap. And Miguel, he takes a look at Cynthia, is pretty convinced she's dead because she's half dead right now as it is, and tells them to continue on. Hey, Commodore Ty, how you doing tonight? And Geeks Enjoy Neurotica, how you doing today, LGG? So as they go by, you can see the general is just giving them those crazy stink eyes. Something feels off about it to him. And he goes to his Jeep, picks up a pair of binoculars, and takes a closer look about what is going on with them right now. And his second in command is really confused about this. He's like, it's a funeral. What is your problem? And as he goes down, he notices the shoes. The shoes is what gives them away. They're designer gel-filled shoes, which, great moment. I love that's how they figure it out. And so they begin to run with Cynthia, and you see her dummy, her mannequin, just bouncing around on this, which in real life, if they were worried about jostling her, that would not have been a great moment for her health. And then you see
just knocks the sisters down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad choice, General. You should know better than to mess with some nuns. So Mr. M stayed behind to try and give them enough time to get away. They changed back into the UEO garb, because very important part of the rescue process. And once they hear gunshots, they're like, we gotta leave. We can't stay here any longer, even though Mr. M's not back.
But wait, here he comes.
Which, I mean, just imagine how he would feel right now to just be like 10 yards away from the rescue boat and watching it starting to sail away. And like, just the knowledge that you are a dead man at this point. That you're not going to do it. There's no way to get out of this. Once you get captured, they're just going to shoot you. And the general is saying, come here. I said come here. And he's not budging. He knows there's no point in it. Like, I might as well just get shot here rather than brought back and shot.
It's Darwin to the rescue.
It is Darwin to the rescue. And Darwin pulls him underwater.
Saving people from impossible situations since 2018.
Commodore is saying that he's doing well. He has a new sub goal to hit 250 subs in 100 days. Good luck with your goal, Commodore Ty. I hope you make it. And the crazy general, he gets right in Miguel's face, and he just goes, bah, making a reference back to someone's going to be the scapegoat. And Miguel he's had enough. He's pissed. He is not going to take any more of the general's guff here. And sure enough, you hear just one shot ring out. And there's just crickets. And, the guards are like, well, what do we do now? And Miguel takes over. Return to your posts. He's in charge now. And thankfully, all of our people got away. And honestly, I can't help but feel like this is a better step for the country, for the Confederation. And the Sisters of the Good Deaths come and perform last rites over the evil dictator. Which, good for them. See, Commodore Ty wants to know, if you're free tomorrow, Vile Mike, we can record the Beast Wars review. I love the Beast Wars. I was disappointed. I don't feel like it ever had a solid ending to it. I felt like the season just didn't get renewed. And wouldn't you know it, the new guy in charge calls up Captain Bridger and lets him know that all this was just a tragic misunderstanding. We researched it further and found out you were correct. And, this was all done under the auspice of the general who, confessed to everything before committing suicide. So please bring the children back home where they belong. And Bridger says, oh, they'll come home. But first they're going to come to my home. They're going to go to school, go to college, maybe go to West Point, and then they'll come home. For the memories that you and the general gave to them. Which, talk about a very polite threat right there.
Yes, that's a Picard-level diplomatic threat.
Bridger had a couple great moments, and I really enjoyed that threat. Like, they'll come home after attending West Point, our military academy. And then everyone rejoices because they're going to go have some ice cream. And here we get our good old Bob Ballard, and he's explaining that this was a tenuous connection to the episode. He's explaining how this sub, they developed some deep diving rescue submersibles that could make an airtight seal against a downed submarine and rescue the trapped crew. I'm like, that's really tenuous when the entire point of the rest of your episode was the tragedies that these people were facing under a cruel dictator, not to be mistaken by the dictator Bird of Prey 5, who was actually quite benevolent. So it was like,
sure he is.
I don't know. It was really, really disjointed. I really thought they were going to say something like Bob Ballard would say something about, submarines used in rescues or some sort of geopolitical comment. But no, just, oh, by the way, we developed this deep sea submersible that can make an airtight seal to rescue a downed submarine. Oh, okay. That's cool too. Don't get me wrong. It's just not really what I was expecting.
I don't think politics are exactly in his wheelhouse.
Probably not. And Vile Mike is saying that he also wouldn't mind hitting 250 subs. Again, good luck. Very, very much good luck. I don't know. I hit 300 subs this week, which, woo, yay! And I don't know what's bringing them in, but I hope they keep coming, and I hope I can make content to actually keep them around, that they enjoy everything we do here. Because I don't think it's the handsome mug that's bringing them in, so I hope to make something to keep them around.
It must be Darwin.
It must. Darwin saves everything. I guess if I see people slipping, I just need to start doing more Darwin videos.
Exactly. I think you found the secret to YouTube success.
I think so. Darwin is sending me a message into my dreams. I just need to focus on him more. Darwin. Oh gosh. File Mike is saying that Beast Wars lasted 3 seasons, 5 seasons if you include Beast Machines. I don't think I ever saw Beast Machines. And Professor Brainy Speck saying, I knew it! You love Darwin! No. No. Easy. Vile Mike is saying Darwin versus Echo. Who wins? Echo the dolphin, hands down. Echo defeated an alien queen. I mean, Darwin is cool and rescues humans one by one, but Echo rescued all of humanity and the dolphins at the same time. So definitely Echo.
Darwin was able to telepathically communicate with the aliens.
I guess. Or is that something coming?
I mean, didn't he do that in the last episode where they found the alien ship?
True, but I don't think it was a telepathic communication. I think they just spoke dolphin.
Oh, well, that may be true. Still, they recognize, Darwin as the superior being there.
And my Mike is saying that the Scripps Oceanographic Institute is in San Diego. Very cool. Y'all have a great zoo, by the way. Or at least you did when I went there when I was like 8, 7? At some young age, I went there. I remember enjoying it. Got a poster of the white lion. Probably not still around. Oh, Darwin and Flipper versus Echo. Who wins? Vile, who would you think? Darwin, Flipper, or Echo?
Well, I think Darwin always wins.
Darwin always wins. There you go. Okay, so just in terms of which one I like more, I actually like Flipper a lot more. There's some classic episodes, and every time they got out that little air raid siren that you had to screw by hand to call Flipper over, I'm like, oh yeah, now we're getting to the good part of the episode. Young Matt was easy to entertain. Apparently, people in the 60s were also easy to entertain. 50s? Gosh, when was Flipper around? I remember the black and white Flipper. Let's see, Flipper TV show 1964 to 1967. So apparently they came in color at some point? Wow. And again in 95 to 2000. No. That might have been a actually documentary, never mind. Maybe?
Clearly inspired by Darwin's success.
Clearly. No, it's really weird. It says it is a TV series, action adventure drama. Dr. Keith Ricks returns to Florida to lead a team of scientists studying dolphins, and it lasted for 4 seasons. It seems like a little more happened than studying dolphins for you to last for 4 seasons.
Well, you never know. Dolphins are very complicated creatures.
Clearly they are. And unlike Darwin, I do believe Flipper was an actual trained dolphin. I'm pretty sure they didn't have advanced robotics in the 60s. Just a humble guess. Hey, Matthew Kernsnick, how you doing today? Glad you're enjoying the sarcasm. And I was saying that the Scripps Oceanographic Institute has whole extinct animals of California and their modern living relative exhibits. That's pretty cool. And Darwin vs. Free Willy? Darwin vs. Willy from Free Will. Yeah, Free Willy has the advantage of being a killer whale.
But Darwin has the advantage of being Darwin.
He does. I think Darwin would actually win that one. And, sorry to any... Oh, who was the name of that actor? Elijah Wood. Sorry to any Elijah Woods fans out there, but I don't think Free Willy would win. Oh, I know you're also Admiral Saval, Matthew. I try to read the actual name I see in front of me so people don't think I'm ignoring them. Because I am notoriously bad at ignoring people on my streams.
Notoriously.
And like I said, I do believe that people should own up to their shortcomings, and I recognize that as a major shortcoming of my own. So, what did you think of this episode, John?
Well, I thought it was a fun episode. Well, it dealt with some difficult topics, so maybe fun wasn't the right word. But it was very entertaining.
It really was. And I'm really, like, I was really shocked by the fact they went there. Like, they did not shy away from this at all. The fact that it wasn't just there were bad people, but it's like, hey, they're murdering their kids. And the world is basically turning a blind eye to it. Like, he talks about them being witnesses, but at the same time, it's like, you know, people knew about this. It's just, unless you have that source of sympathy, people don't care. Like, it's so easy to hear, like, oh yeah, you go down to the Sudan and, you know, kids are being murdered, they're being mutilated, girls aren't being allowed to go to school. And you're like, yeah, I know all that. But unless you actually have one of the people who were physically harmed by it to be a in-your-face, I exist moment, most people just ignore it. And I'm really impressed they decided to tackle something like that.
A couple of us are having a question, though, Matthew. We're wondering, what does Elijah Wood have to do with Free Willy?
Free Willy, the little boy in Free Willy was Elijah Wood.
Not according to IMDb.
Tell me he at least looks like Elijah Wood.
I'm not seeing it myself, sorry.
Anything at all? Man, I am really bad with faces and names. Jason James Richer. What's the movie I'm thinking of then? Elijah Wood was a young kid. It was definitely the actor who played Frodo, so unless I got even that wrong, which I wouldn't put past me. Let's see, Elijah Wood, excuse me. Yeah, I gotta look this up now. Elijah Wood, actor, The Lord of the Ring, The Fellowship. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go back to his early age. I know he was in, I think he was in Radio Flyer, or a movie about a Radio Flyer. Yeah, Radio Flyer. Forever Young, The Witness, Huck Finn, Good Son. Okay, that was a weird one. The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin. That was crazy.
He says he was in that Flippers TV show. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of.
It wasn't. It wasn't at all. But I also saw, like, that's Deep Impact. I think I was thinking Deep Impact. Because obviously, I mean, they're just so similar. Deep Impact, Free Willy.
Like Free Willy, almost the same.
Yeah, you had that moment at the end where you got the Free Willy jumping over Jason, and at the end of Deep Impact, you had the moment when the tidal wave is sweeping over everyone and killing them, and gruesomely, horribly. So totally, 100% the same. I hope everyone can see just how easily it would have been to make that mistake.
Yes, and for everyone who's new here, yes, it's like this every week.
This is Life with Matthew. I am the absolute worst at faces and names. Just the worst. I'd like to say it was something to do with being dyslexic, but science doesn't support that. Science doesn't support that at all. And yes, he was in Radio Flyer. I'm getting confirmation on that, so at least I was right once this stream. I like being right at least once per stream. Right, Vile Mike? He's saying a large portion of the population turning a blind eye to the mistreatment of children. Glad that never happens today. Yeah, I mean, even here in America, you know, it's kind of happening again. Again, like it stopped, but I mean, you remember there were the detention centers for children being separated from their kids. And it was started, or I don't think it was started under Obama, but there's some pictures taken under Obama's term, came out during Trump's term. Everyone was up in arms. How dare Trump do this? Even though the photos were from Obama's term. And Trump ended it. Like, hey, you're right. Let's end this. And then Biden is bringing it right back in. And he's actually getting praised for it. Like, oh, we're so glad that he's making sure that we have more detention centers so that people aren't as in close proximity for COVID. And we're so glad that he has these detention centers and he's increasing the number of them. Like, is it something not reprehensible to be separating kids from their children? Like, can we just get a moment of consistency? Because I agree, that was wrong. It needed to end. And I'm really shocked that we're okay with it.
Well, the virus justifies everything.
The virus justifies everything. For the good of the children. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to get political here, but that is a great thing about SeaQuest. SeaQuest is like great TNG. They make you think about real world applications. And the idea of turning blind eye to the mistreatment of children is such an important topic. Absolutely 100% important. Like maybe we don't all agree about what is and isn't mistreatment of children. But I think if we were all intellectually honest, we would admit that there is maybe some area that we are turning a blind eye to the mistreatment of children in. You know? I'm not sure what that area is for me, because unfortunately, I'm blind to it. And this is something we talked about over on Discord. Like, it is so hard to find out where you're being biased. Like, you look for confirmation bias. I want to be right about things. And you go out looking for it. And we do our best, like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should research this some more. But eventually, you're going to hit that something, and you're just going to believe it right away because you want confirmation bias. And then you can't recognize it. Like, you're totally blind to the fact that you're doing that, even though you're trying really hard. And Vile is saying that it never ended under Trump, but it started under Reagan, and it was continued under all presidents, including Clinton and Obama. But it came to a forefront under Trump. I know that at the very least, a lot of the issues that were with it were addressed. But if you want to say that the detention centers always existed, well, yes, of course. And we're going to catch people as they come across the border, and there will be detention centers. But I can at least agree with you that it came to the forefront under Trump. Yeah, don't question the mainstream media. I refuse.
Did you see Robert's question for you?
What did I think about the Flash TV show? Which Flash TV show, Robert Rose Jr.? The John Wesley Snipes one? Fantastic. Love it. Mark Hamill as, not the Joker. That's the wrong DC. As the Trickster. Wonderful. If you're talking about the new Flash, the CW Flash, I enjoyed the first season. Thought it was a really good season. I thought the second season was alright. Was the third season the one with Savall? Something with an S. The first Flash, and it ended up being a doppelganger of Barry Allen. Or was that the fourth season? I think the third season might have been the brainy guy, and the fourth season was the first. The point is, it went downhill by that point. Like as soon as you heard the line from the bad guy saying, "I was the first Flash," and I'm like, okay, well, that's Barry Allen. It's 100% Barry Allen. And so like the whole season had no mystery to me. And at that point, Iris had taken over, and it made no sense that everyone was following Iris, who was a like halfway decent journalist, like a wannabe journalist. And everyone was getting superpowers, and I'm like, whatever, man, whatever. Savitar, yeah, that's Savitar. Vile, I think we just established I'm horrible with names. It was the bad guy who was in the suit that was supposed to let him run faster, stronger, better. Or let the doppelganger run faster, better, stronger, whatever. And Vile's saying it came to the forefront under Trump because he lost about 500 of the kids' parents. Okay, I mean, Maybe you've heard something I haven't. That's not how I heard for it coming to the forefront, but I accept that. I remember saying I did like that they had the old Flash in the new TV show. Yeah, that was nice. Having Wesley Snipes be the alternate timeline or alternate universe version of Flash. I thought that was fun too. But it quickly went downhill. All of which is to say, because welcome to the stream if you're new, I get super easily distracted. All of which is to say, John Wesley Snipes, Vile. I just said Wesley Snipes. John Wesley Snipes. So not Wesley. 297. This better not be from Wesley Snipes.
There's all kinds of things.
And Thomas, I actually have been wondering where you were. I just wasn't calling you out because I remember you saying that you weren't going to comment on a stream, and I was respecting your choices. Ha ha ha. You bum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another article. He called Thomas a bum.
I will own up to that one. But no, all of which to say, I thought this was a great episode, and I thought it was a hard-hitting episode too. I love the fact they didn't shy away from it. Was there anything bad in it for you, John? Because for me, I don't feel like there was anything super bad.
I mean, I don't think so either. I think it was a solid one.
Like the worst I could say is if I put on my Wokest glasses and made a super long stretch, I would complain about choosing a non-specific Hispanic or Latino individual to be a stereotypical dictator. But even with that, like, that's a super big stretch because, you know, thinking about the 90s, we weren't at the best relations with Cuba at the time. And that was an easy way to reference a actual social political issue going on at the time. And I think that's something that is really important to do when you watch old media, as I say, consume old media. When you watch old media, you have to consider the climate of the time, the culture of the time, and consider what the point of portraying someone stereotypically might have been. And for this one, it was 100% to give a shorthand reference to what was going on with Cuba. At least that's what I took from it. Beyond that, you know, they actually had a lot of... The writers did their homework for this episode. Like, the idea that Bridger would shoot on a civilian ship. They actually established that. They thought it was ore smugglers, and obviously they didn't shoot to kill, but they did shoot to disable, and everyone was shocked when they were wrong. And then having just 5 people isolated, Dr. Westphalen, Cynthia, Ford, Shran, and it was 7. There were two random people. So having them isolated was even set up because the mini sub couldn't carry everyone, so they had to do some quick swapping out. Cynthia banging her head and being in a medical situation because she was too focused on making sure the kids were safe. Everything that they set up was well done, and I was extremely satisfied with that. Even Bridger putting it together that the people weren't actually captured. Yes, it was a bit of a shot in the dark, but it was also one based on his own experience, like based on his own rationale and putting the pieces together. So just a thoroughly well done episode. And Viola is saying, okay, folksies, I am out. Have a good insert relevant time period here. And don't forget, 80s cartoon Jeopardy Sunday night, March the 7th. Look forward to that. Guys, make sure to go check out Vile Mike's channel if you haven't already. You'll get some good, he does, what's the name of his quiz show?
Jep Nerdy.
Jep Nerdy, yes, Jep Nerdy. And there's a lot of people who lose their nerd cards playing on his show because they can't get the answers right. And he also does the excellent TOS series reviews, as well as his daughter taking the lead and doing some Voltron, the remake Voltron reviews, which great formats, extremely entertaining. Go check them out. Robert Rose Jr. wants to know, am I looking forward to the new Superman and Lois show coming to the CW, which should be about to air in Canada on CCTV, if I am not, or CTV Sci-Fi. Yes, I actually am looking forward to that. Not that I live in Canada, by the way. It aired at 9 my time. So I'm very much looking forward to popping up my browser here in a minute and going to watch that over on the CW. Because I think that's an interesting take. We'll see how long it takes for them to ruin it, because I don't have any faith in a CW DC show, unfortunately. But we'll give it a shot. It's going to be Lois, it's going to be Clark, and it's going to be their 2 sons going back to Smallville's. My personal prediction, not seeing it yet, is that the shows are going to focus on the boys. Because that's what the CW does. Adults, boring people to them. Focus on the teens. That's what you want. Or at least focus on the adults pretending they're teens. That's the way the CW does shows. And Commodore Ty is saying that so far he's heard nothing but good reviews. That is what I'd fully expect. You know, like I said, I'm not overly optimistic about any CW show, except if I am being fair, which I always try to be. The first episode of just about every CW show has been phenomenal. Even the first season has been decent for almost every CW show. Arrow was good, Flash was good first season. Supergirl was kind of weak, but even with that, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever watched. Like, I enjoyed the first season of Supergirl. Not so much the second season. Who is this Sparkle girl? I forget her name. She has the staff. She does like fireworks and stuff. I can't think of her name to save my life right now, but you know, it was a decent enough first season. The Legends of Tomorrow, pretty good first season. So I do expect the first season to at least be watchable. Stargirl, thank you, Darth Revan. That's the ticket, Stargirl. So I expect the first season to be watchable. I especially expect the first episode to be a very good episode. Now, how long can they keep that? If they have a strong first season, which is a big if right now, but if they have a strong first season, usually it seems by the second season, the CW starts to deteriorate on their Marvel show, or DC shows, DC shows. By third season, I think the Arrow was the only one that had an actual solid third season. And after that, it's like they just ran out of new ideas by the third season for everyone else. And I've hit 300 articles. Yay! Just like my subs, I have 300 impeachment articles. What about you, John? Are you a DC fan?
Honestly, when I was growing up, I was never into comics that much. Most of what I know comes from watching those old cartoons.
I am in the exact same boat as you. I absolutely did not read the American comics growing up. Now, for you, was there any specific reason why you didn't read them?
When I tried reading comics a few times, I just couldn't get into it. I always preferred reading actual books.
Okay. See, I was the same-ish way. So I guess that's a way of saying I wasn't the same way. I was close to the same way. For me, I tried reading it at a friend's house. I really liked the stories. But I had such a hurdle with where on earth am I coming in here? If I like the Superman story, what's the first one I should be reading? Because it's not going to be Action Comics #1. I can't afford that nonsense. Maybe I can get a kind of a collection of highlights from old ones. But even with that, it's like I don't know where to begin for a storyline. And the fact that there's 50 some odd years of it, it was such a turnoff. I could not get into it. But I really enjoyed the Japanese comics. The manga, because it had a 100% clear beginning. It ran usually for a couple years, and then you had your ending. Except things like Dragon Ball and One Piece, those have just run on forever. Even Bleach, I think, made it like a decade. So, I mean, you have a very definitive beginning and end. And I really love a story having an ending. Otherwise, it's like just eternal. And eternal stories, I don't know, they degrade over time for me. With one religious exception, if I may be so bold. But yeah, I didn't enjoy the American comics, but I tell you what, Justice League, Superman animated, Batman animated, Batman and Robin, which was just, Batman season 4 or something. Those were amazing. Like, that is what got me into American superheroes.
Yeah, I love those shows.
And here's a hard thing. Comic book fans out there, should there be a final Batman comic? I mean, should there just come a day where you say, let the story end and give me a new hero already? Give me someone like Death Note, the Japanese comic Death Note. You had the character L, who was a fantastic detective, and you had this amazing story around him. Or even Detective Conan, another manga, which has gone on kind of too long here. It needs to hit its end, okay? But bring in a new character. Bring in someone new. Maybe someone who parents didn't die in an alleyway. I don't know. Just spitballing here. Or...
Well, as long as he keeps making money, they're not going to get rid of him.
Well, yeah, and there is the rub. That you never get rid of... They'll never get rid of a cash cow. Or would you actually be sad? Like, if there was never another Batman comic, would you feel the world would be a less bright place?
Well, I don't, because I don't really care about comics that much.
Fair. I mean, we'll always have reboots, but I honestly, I can see both sides of this. I think it would be sad not to have another Batman story. But at the same time, I really want fresh blood out there. I don't want to just be using the same heroes over and over and over again. And Batman Beyond, that was another good one. And that was kind of a... Robert, that's an interesting one, because in that one, you both had a new character who was very much a Batman 2.0 version. But he was at least new. He brought fresh blood, a fresh perspective. And you had this handing of the reins over throughout the entire series, as, Bruce Wayne was an old man who was somehow even more crotchety than the Bruce Wayne we knew in Justice League. So that was an interesting way to kind of have your cake and eat it too. To bring in fresh blood and still be having a Batman classic story. Siddharth Revan is saying there is a current run of DC Comics called Rebirth, which is a brand new canon. If you want to get into comics, I would go there. Interesting. I will try to remember to check that out. I will also confess, however, I'm not too impressed with the state of comics today's. There's too many checkbox going on with our characters. Not enough story. Like if you make a good story with someone who happens to be from a specific group, I don't care. More power to you. But if your whole thing is how can we make this one specific set of checkboxes, and oh, by the way, we need a story, that's kind of what we have in comics right now, and it's not something I'm enjoying. And Thomas Potts is saying, good night, see you all in hell. Ouch. Also known as being alive. Oh, okay. Also known as being alive. Okay. I was like, dang, Thomas, that's harsh, man. But no, okay. Also called being alive. I accept that.
Yeah, good night, Thomas.
And I did miss your comments tonight, Thomas. I enjoy having you on these streams. Let's see. Reverend was saying Barry Allen died in the comics, was gone for like 20 years, replaced with Wally West. That's true. And then I think he came back, and I think we now have like a fourth, fifth one or something. Kind of like Superman died, then you had Teen Superman, then original Superman was brought back, and no one stays dead in comics. Reverend is saying you agree with the ticker, but it is the current canon, so that's where you go. It's where it currently begins. Okay. Batman, Superman, and Flash are all titles, not people, so they can be new people but keep the mantle. Yeah, I get that mentality. I don't even care if you have like if they had taken Miles Morales, and instead of having him be Spider-Man, they just had Miles Morales, who also happens to have spider-like powers, except he got his this way. And maybe not lean into the Spider-Man motif because you're trying to do a new character, but like have this character, he can climb walls. He comes up with something to capture people like webbing, but it's not webbing. I don't care that there's similarity. Like, there's only so many unique ideas out there. You're gonna have overlap. I don't know. I want good stories. That's what it comes down to. I want good stories, and I think one of the ways to get it is to have new, fresh ideas, and not just trying to tick boxes, not just trying to take an existing character and now they're this gender, now they're this race, now they're like, if that's the extent of your change, I don't feel like you have a really good idea. Take a you want a female black Batman. Cool. Make that character. Make a story around that character. Do it. I think that'd be great. But to take Batman and then be like, oh, Batman's now a woman and black. It's like, well, that's all you're going to lean into. And that's what every story is going to be. Not about Batman now, but it's going to be about a black female person who happens to be Batman. And that ends up being not a good story because you don't have any ideas beyond a couple checkboxes. And I think writers really forget that you have to have a greater story than just my person is this sex, my person is this ethnicity, my person is this whatever. You've got to have more to have a good story.
Well, that was a fascinating SeaQuest discussion.
It was SeaQuest leading to comics. Because, as I have said, I am easily distractible. Oh, so easily distractible. And what you guys write in the chat is what I read, and that gets me onto these things. But we do need to wrap up, because I am going long in the tooth here, because I am getting easily distracted. But the point of it is, great episode tonight, guys. I think this might be, if not my favorite episode, one of my top 3.
Yeah, I'd say it's up there.
But with that, John, final thoughts from anything tonight?
It's another solid episode with lots of interesting things to discuss, and another daring rescue by Darwin.
It was another daring rescue by Darwin. You know, if I ever, maybe I need to make a shorts like Anti-Tricker is doing, and we'll have to have a ticker for every time Darwin ends up saving the day.
That's good for several subscribers, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, probably hundreds, thousands maybe. Anything focusing on Darwin.
Clearly.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Yeah, season finale next week.
That's right. Oh, well, assuming I'm here. As long as I am in town, or at least somewhere where I can get decent enough internet, we will be doing season finale. I will absolutely keep you posted as I find out information. Check out my Discord if you want to be kept up to date on that sort of stuff. I'll try to send out a tweet, guys, so follow me on this stuff, and hopefully next week we will get to enjoy the season 1 finale of SeaQuest, and then after that, I don't know. I think what I'd like to do is maybe take a week and organize our thoughts and talk about the best and worst season 1 recap episodes.
Sounds good.
So guys, take care, stay safe, and we will hopefully see you guys next week.
Remember, Darwin loves you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.